là que nous voyons en bas, sous globe là que nous voyons en bas, sous écran nous en bas, côté gain icône yo, nous cliquer sur lui et puis nous choisir langue nous besoin entendre, langue nous plus bien comprendre nan, qui c'est que l'haïtien et puis nous cliquer sur fermer audio original pour nous pas attendre partie en anglais.
Luana?
Yes.
Good
We only
evening,
heard-
everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Okay, I'm Luana, and the spaces we create here by the Originating Foundation reflect our multicultural and multilingual community. We want to ensure that everyone can participate in this space in the language they prefer. If you would like to listen in English only, we ask that you choose English when the Zoom interpreting feature is activated in a few moments. The instructions are as follows, and we'll also display them in the chat. When activated, please click on the interpretation globe at the bottom right of your screen and choose the language in which you would like to participate and listen. If you are connecting to Zoom through your phone, please tap the three dots in the bottom right corner where it says More. Tap Language Interpretation. Choose the language you want to listen in, then tap Done in the upper right corner. If you have any questions or difficulties with interpretation, please let us know and we'll be happy to help. A gentle reminder, please speak at a moderate pace. We want to ensure that the information shared is as clear as possible. Thanks, everyone. And I will now enable the interpretation feature so that you will be able to use it. Thank you. And I'll pass it on to our Master of Ceremonies on the ground, Rhodia. Thank you.
Hi, reporting live from from Accent Style Boutique. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rhodia Numa, and I'll be your host. Well, not your host, but I'll be introducing the main person here that's gonna teach you guys about herbs and how you use them from your pantry, and basically she's gonna teach us some stuff. I'm excited to be here because I want to start my own little garden so I can take what she's gonna teach us tonight and put it to action. So without further ado, I'm gonna introduce Allyson White. She is our guest speaker for tonight. She's a clinical herbalist and the founder of Naked and Natural. So I've heard great things about your product, so we're excited to hear from you. Also, we'd like to thank our sponsors, ASC, Naked and Natural, Publix, and so forth. So I'll give you the floor, Allyson.
Well, thank you. Thank you for that lovely introduction, Rhodia. Well, thank you everyone for coming and spending your Friday with me. And we are absolutely going to talk about the herbs that you have in your pantry and how to use them in a medicinal way so that you can benefit from that. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so the spices and herbs that you currently have in your pantry, there are so many different medicinal ways to use them. You can use them in teas, obviously in food, making it more delicious, or you can use it in salves or skincare to help your skin be glowing and beautiful. So I want to start with a disclaimer. This is not a substitute for medical advice. See a licensed and trusted medical provider. So just want to put that out there. Now, the first thing I want to say is a lot of people think that when you hear the word all natural, it's safe to use. All natural is not always safe to use. So you have to be careful and mindful and learn how something works for your body, because what works for Ty may not work for Rhodia. What works for Ram may not work for me. So if you understand how your body works, then whatever it is that you're putting in your body will be more beneficial to you. So that's the first thing I want to say. The other thing I want to say is the great thing about the herbs is that let's just say peppermint. If peppermint doesn't work for you or you don't like peppermint, it's not the only herb out there that is beneficial. There are other herbs that's beneficial, or if it's not if it's an issue of it not being beneficial, then maybe you don't have access to all the herbs that are out there. Some people don't. So it's like you have to know what to use and how to use it, and know that there's so many different substitutes that you can use. So that's number 2. Biggest thing is, I would like to say, is do your own research, because I could tell you all day long, but if you don't do your own research, if you completely trust me, and yes, I'm trustworthy, but you have to learn to trust yourself. Doing your own research will give you the knowledge and give you the information how to trust yourself. And the more you trust yourself, the easier it's going to be when it comes to using the herbs and knowing what works for you and what does not work for you. So I would definitely say, learn how to trust yourself, do your own research, be your own advocate. This is just a start, so you know where to go, because there's so much information out there. It's information overload. So, okay, now, every herb, every plant, every food, including me, have their own energetics. And what I mean by energetics is how it works for your body. So, perfect example. There's warming, hot, cooling, cold, neutral, drying, and moistening. And this is how it affects your body. So if you, for example, use peppermint, it's going to cool your body down. So we've had really bad heat. What has it been, 4 months? Something like a peppermint, even if you drink it as a hot tea, like if you mix peppermint with lemon, it's going to help to cool your body down. So it's like, that's how peppermint works for you. And then there's something like ginger. Ginger is very warm into your body. So that's what I mean about the energetics. But in terms of peppermint, it's not just cooling, it's cooling and drying. Ginger, cooling and drying. There's certain herbs out there that's cooling and moistening. So if you've been overheated for a while, your fluids could be drying up. So that dries you out, and you notice it on your skin. You notice it like you're getting a little dry cough. So it's like learning what is going to cool you down, warm you up, moisten your body, dry you out, especially if you have a cold or phlegm. That's what I mean by the energetics and how it affects your body. So I've talked about it a lot. So let's get into peppermint. So peppermint is cooling and drying. It also settles your stomach, especially if you're feeling nauseous. It's a carminative, and carminatives help with bloating and gas. So case in point, after you've eaten a really heavy meal, a carminative is going to help with that, help ease the bloating, ease the gas. But on top of being a carminative, it helps with digestive juices. So it helps your digestive tract by getting your digestive juices flowing and going and working. And what that does, it breaks the food down, so it makes it easier, so you don't get that uncomfortable feeling in your belly like there's food stuck in your system. So that's another thing it does. On top of cooling the body down, it helps with colds, flus, and headaches. So say you have a bad headache or a bad migraine, your choice is to either drink some tea to help with the headache, or if you have peppermint essential oil, you can rub a little bit on the base of your neck, which helps to cool you down, or on your temple. So it's going to cool you down, but it also is going to help with that headache or migraine. So peppermint is absolutely amazing for that. A good tea or lemonade is lemon, peppermint, and honey. I love honey. Whatever sweetener you want to use, you can use it. But I am partial to honey because honey is really good with your immune system and it's good with your digestive system. So it's like you're getting digestive help from the honey and digestive help from the peppermint, as well as the cooling effects. So that is just some of the things that peppermint does. So peppermint, that was the first one. The next one is thyme. Thyme is absolutely delicious when you put it with just about anything. Thyme is cooling. I'm sorry, thyme is warming and it's also drying. So with thyme, it's good for so many different things. Chicken soup. Put it in chicken soup, it makes it delicious. You ever hear people say, oh, chicken soup is so healing and it's so good, and no one knows why. There's thyme, there's garlic, there's the chicken, there's the collagen from the chicken. I mean, there's so many different things that's in chicken soup that's going to help you. But thyme is one of them because it's warm and it's drying. It's great for all types of infections, especially in the lungs, especially in the digestive system. So that's one of the things that thyme does. It's a great disinfectant. It's an antifungal, so it can be used externally or internally for infections. If you have a sore throat, you can use it for sore throat. You can use it for oral rinse. You can use it for coughing, especially if you have like a phlegmy cough. Because it's warming and it's drying, it's going to help with the expectoration, to help you get whatever phlegm you have, and to also help dry that out. You can use it as a tea. I know a lot of people are like, a thyme tea, ugh. But if you mix thyme with honey, it's actually really delicious. And the other thing that you can do with thyme is, if you don't want to do a tea because it's too hot, and of course we live in Florida, you can actually put thyme, say a handful of thyme, in, I would say, about a 6 to 8 ounce glass of honey. Mash the thyme up, grind it up a little bit, put it in the jar with the honey, and every couple of days, just mix it up, just mix it up. So when it's time, because cold and flu season is coming up, so when it's time, you can go ahead and just take a teaspoon of honey, especially when you're not feeling so good, feeling under the weather. So that's a good combination that you can use that is definitely beneficial. The other thing is being mindful. Because it's a spasmodic for the respiratory and the urinary tract, you don't want to use large doses, especially if you're a pregnant woman. And when I say large doses, I mean, I don't know, eating some, eating it every day, but eating large amounts every day. A little bit at a time goes a long way, and it would definitely be good for you. It can also be used to treat intestinal parasites in children. So keeping it on the counter with the honey, that's a good thing. But as I go on, you can see how you can mix and match and add things together and make your own concoction that will work for you. And again, trusting your own body is absolutely the thing to do. Trust your body. If you take it and you don't like it, or doesn't feel good, or you're not feeling well, immediately stop taking it. So, sage. Sage is delicious. Mix it with chicken, put it in soups. I mean, sage is wonderful. It's warming and it is drying. It's great for colds, for flus, anything in the upper respiratory tract. Like if you have a sore throat, tonsillitis, you can use it as a mouthwash for canker sores or any gum sores or sore gums. You can use it for that. It's a great antiseptic. It's anti-inflammatory. So it really is another one great in preventing infections in the body as well as on the body. So you can use it, if you use it as a salve, I would say an oil with some, what is that, beeswax? Mix it all together, let it sit out. That's really what a salve is, and it's really good for that as well. Again, the beeswax is going to be great because it's an antiseptic, it's an antibacterial, it's just all around beneficial. And now you're putting it with sage, which is really helpful. So keep that in mind. The other thing about sage is that it is a nerve tonic, which is amazing. We call it nervine, at least I call it nervine. And nervines are wonderful because it doesn't take away your stress. It just helps your body handle stress better. And that is something that you want. So
We all need that.
absolutely everyone needs that, especially with the state of the world, but let's not get into that. That's a whole nother story. So it actually helps your body to handle stress better. And you want that. So you can use it in a tea. So something as simple as sage, lavender, and lemon balm in a tea with some honey, those are all nervines. So it stimulates you to help you feel better and also relax you at the same time. So that's one benefit of sage. The other thing too, which is interesting, is that if you are a woman and you're going through hot flashes, it actually helps to cool your body down. So you can actually make a sage tea lemonade, put it in the fridge and drink it when you need it, especially at night when you're getting the hot flashes or feeling a little bit too warm. So sage is definitely.
Sage, lavender, lemon balm.
Sage, lavender, and lemon balm. And lemon balm is so good. Another herb that is excellent, when I say excellent, it's not on my list, but is excellent to help relax you and make you feel better, is tulsi or holy basil, which is the other name. Those are absolutely amazing. So you mix all of that together and drink it in a tea for a little while. It will make you feel good. So on top of all of that, sage, women who are nursing should avoid too much sage because it can dry up the breast milk. So you want to be mindful of that. Now, if you want to dry up your breast milk, then yes, do a good amount of sage, but at least you know you have an option either way, whatever it is that you're looking for. The other herb that I want to talk about is rosemary. Rosemary is warming, it is drying, and is constricting. So sometimes when I say constricted, I mean like, say you sweat a lot. We call that in Chinese medicine, we call that, oh my goodness, I just drew a blank, craziness. We call that a certain type of deficiency where sweat is just pouring off of you. That constrict, and when it constricts, it stops the sweat from flowing so easily. So that's something that could be helpful for that. Rosemary, yes. But rosemary has so many different benefits, being warming and drying. And like I said, a lot of the herbs that I talk about for right now is going to be warming and drying because we're going into a cold and flu season. And we are absolutely going to need these herbs to help keep us from getting sick because my goodness, between COVID and the flu and regular cold and flus and all of that, this will definitely prepare you. So even if you do start to feel a little bit sick, you have something on hand that you don't have to run to the store, especially if it's late at night and the supermarket is closed or Walmart is closed. So you have things on hand, even if it's dried. Fresh is usually best, but dry also works very well. So rosemary helps improve brain circulation. So you see rosemary in a lot of brain tonics. It would be mixed with something called gotu-kola as well as bacopa. All of those three together really helps your brain flows and move so you feel like basically helps your memory. You can remember things for a longer period of time. So it works as great as a brain tonic. It's great for migraines as well as headaches. So that's a good thing to know about rosemary. It can also help with poor circulation as well as blood pressure, low blood pressure, because of the circulation is helping your blood flow and move the way it needs to. It's a great anti-inflammatory and it's good for arthritis as well as joint issues. So, and rosemary is also good for the digestive system. Good fun fact besides the whole digestive system and internal uses, rosemary is actually good for your scalp, not just your brain outside, but your hair to help wash your hair. So you can actually get a handful of rosemary, put it in hot water and let it steep for, until it gets cool. And then that water you can take to wash your hair. And the wonderful thing is it helps to clean the scalp really well, but it helps the circulation of your hair. And I want to say it also helps gray hairs. Yeah, interesting fun fact. So rosemary is definitely something that is going to promote hair growth, stimulate your scalp. It's just a great thing to have. And if you find distilled rosemary or make your own distilled rosemary, using it on your skin for to brighten up your skin, to help you stay moist, that's not the right word, to help you stay hydrated. I'm just thinking about all the people who hate the word moist. I'm not one of them, but there's a lot of people out there, but it helps you to stay hydrated as well. So just like a hydrosol is what you're looking for distillation. Now, the other herb, cinnamon. Cinnamon is delicious. You can use cinnamon leaf or cinnamon twigs. I'm going to talk about cinnamon twig. It is warming, it is drying, and it is constricting. It's great, obviously, put it in. I don't know who else here is Caribbean or know about porridge. It's great to season your porridge with. It's great in everything. Now, cinnamon is used as a circulatory stimulant to help boost your vitality. It's the circulation and your digestive system. It also helps with bacterial and fungal infection. If you notice a pattern, I'm talking about a lot of these herbs work well with digestive system. And it makes sense because a lot of these herbs we use to eat. So that's one of the main reasons why a lot of these herbs are in food, because it helps with the digestive system, it helps the food taste better, and it helps with your overall health. But using it in a medicinal way is the benefit for all of that. Now, the other thing is, due to its constricting nature, it can be used to reduce the heavy flow of menstrual bleeding. So if you're someone that is a heavy flow and you want to reduce that or constrict that, that can help that, as well as postpartum bleeding. So that's just taking it in a tea form. That will help. Used with ginger, it can help with cramps. So ginger, like make a ginger and cinnamon, either tea or lemonade or something that, anything that is going to get you to be what I like to call it compliant. I don't care how you use it. I don't care how you take it. Whatever works for your body, whatever gets you to take it so that it will work the way it's intended, that's all I care about. And some people, besides the practices that I mentioned, some people will find their own unique ways to take it, whether or not it's mixing cinnamon powder with a little bit of essential oils and carrier oils and just rubbing it on the belly to help calm that down. That's another way that you can use it as well. So cinnamon is absolutely amazing. Now, the other thing too with cinnamon is that it can help with your blood glucose level. So taken daily, studies have shown that it does increase the efficacy of insulin. So it's balancing your blood glucose. So if you're somebody that's up here, I love how medicine and herbs are so intuitive. It knows a lot of times what your body needs. So if your blood sugar is down, it will bring it up and balance out your insulin levels. So you know, you're where you're supposed to be. Now for the blood balancing of your sugar, a cinnamon tincture works well. And a tincture is fairly easy to make. Just a simple tincture can get really complicated, but a simple tincture could be about 2 to 4 ounces of cinnamon bark, along with 80 proof of alcohol. Now, my ratio is 1 to 5. So if you have 1 part cinnamon, then you're going to use 5 parts alcohol, however you choose to do the ratio. Or if you don't want to mess with all of that, just make certain it's explain that. Make sure that it's at least 2 to 3 inches above the cinnamon. So wherever the cinnamon is, the cinnamon twig, not the powder. Make certain that it's about 2 to 3 inches and leave it on your counter. And shake it up every day, put it in a cool, dry place, take it out, shake it up for about 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. And you want to take maybe about half a teaspoon every day, and that should help. So what you would do is you would take a half a teaspoon every 5 days, give it a rest for 2 days, and then start the process all over again. And you would do that for a couple of months and see what it's like. Now, that being said, again, if you're taking any other medication and you notice any issues with taking a medication with the cinnamon or any of these herbs, consult your doctor or stop taking it immediately. So that's pretty important. Okay, basil. Basil, oh, smells delicious, tastes delicious. It's warming and drying. It is wonderful for nausea as well as vomiting. It works great. It's carminative as well, so it's going to help ease gas, bloating, and stomach cramps. It's really effective as an anti-infective and respiratory infection issues. So any kind of respiratory infections, any kind of issues like that, basil is really good for that. It works on the nervous system. Again, it's a nervine. So if you are someone with mild depression, something like either a diffuser with essential oils of basil, or even a tea, again, with the lemon balm and the holy basil, something like that would be good to help lift your spirits and lift your mood. So basil is definitely good for that. And pesto, don't forget pesto. Pesto, there's so many different recipes out there, but there's only a few ingredients. Pine nuts or walnuts, depending on whatever nuts you like. You can use Parmesan cheese, Parmesan Reggiano, because if you are someone that has issues with dairy, Parmesan is a Reggiano because it's a dry aged cheese. It's not going to be so hard on your digestive system. The basil and salt and pepper to taste, and blend that all up. And and don't forget the olive oil or your oil of choice. And that is a good meal. That is a very, very good meal with whatever carbs you decide to take. Now, as a relaxing tea, you could do 1 part fresh or dried basil leaf, 1 part lemon balm, a pinch of lavender. Lavender is extremely strong and it can overpower anything that you put it with. So you just want a pinch of lavender, no more, and a 1/4 teaspoon of chamomile. So those you would let steep for about 20 minutes. And having it steep is actually really good. Like if you want the medicinal value out of any tea whatsoever, you have to let it steep for anywhere from about 15 minutes to 30 minutes. That's when you're going to get the medicinal value out of it. Like most tea bags will tell you to steep it for 2 to 3 minutes. They have to, seriously, they have to tell you that as a way to save themselves, but any tea that you make, to get the medicinal value out of it, you're going to have to steep it longer. Some people don't like strong tasting teas, so maybe steep it on the shorter side, but the medicinal value is always going to be a longer steep.
Natural, they could say natural herbs. Do you steep it for longer or just the same amount, like as a tea bag?
A tea bag, you can steep it for longer. Yeah, it depends on how strong you want your tea. Okay. Some people are used to less flavored tea, but also there's stronger teas out there. I want to say Earl Grey is a stronger blend. So sometimes that's way too strong and you want to steep it for less, especially if you're someone who's sensitive to the tannins of the tea. Maybe steep it for less depending on your taste, but.
You bring your water to a good boil.
Yes, yes. I personally, different tea makers and tea shops and all of that will tell you, and that's great, but to each your own. I personally bring it to a full boil and then pour it over the tea and then let it steep, especially when I'm not feeling well. Like this morning, I woke up and my throat was bothering me a little bit and I had a little bit of a headache, and I went downstairs and I made myself some peppermint and ginger tea with a little bit of honey. And I had already had a lemon balm honey that I made, and I put some of that in there, and within no time at all, I started to feel better. But I let that sit in one of those mugs, insulated mugs. It's easier. The great thing about insulated mugs is that it keeps things hot longer. The bad things about insulated mugs is that after about half an hour, it's still hot. So, you know, it's good and it's bad, but I let it steep for as long as I can. And it really did help me to feel better since I was doing this.
Good question.
Yes.
Echinacea tea?
Mhm. Echinacea is good for cold. That's why they market it. It's good for colds and flus and all of that, pretty much what I'm talking about. And I want to say it might be either an antibacterial or an antiviral. So it's good for what it is, but there's more things out there than echinacea. Yeah, and some people might not like the taste of echinacea. So knowing that something doesn't taste good, but you need it, know that you have other options than echinacea. So that's a great thing about that. Now, favorite, garlic. Garlic is delicious. Oh my goodness, there's so many things that you can do with garlic. First, garlic is warming and drying. Now, garlic is really pungent. We all know you have garlic, you go on a date, you don't want to kiss afterwards because it's so pungent. But the other thing that you can do with garlic, even though the efficacy is taken down a notch, you can do what is known as a garlic confit, which is put garlic in oil with thyme or whatever other herbs you want to put it with, roast in the oven for about an hour on maybe 250, depending on how long you want to do that. And it becomes garlic confit, which makes it sweeter and easier to ingest if garlic happens to be a little bit too pungent or too strong for you. It's still definitely going to work, but it's not going to work as to the max as raw garlic will.
So you're mixing all three together and then putting
Yeah, with a little bit of salt. Like literally, you're just thinking about making a recipe. And if you're someone who cooks, you're like, you know what? I think I'm going to add a little bit of this and a little bit of that and toss it in the oven and just let it go and forget it. And then when it starts to permeate the house, then you know you check it. When it starts to get nice and brown, that's when you know all the sugars and the goodness are released. But there's two things about that. The garlic confit, you take the garlic out and you blend it or mash it or do whatever you want to do. But then you have garlic oil that you can cook with. So you have two things out of one, essentially. So you're getting a lot of benefits. For garlic, it is antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, antimicrobial, and a decongestant. And there's even more than that, but let's start with those five. So because of those things that I just listed, this is why it works great on colds and flus and infections. That's why one of my favorite combinations to do is get some garlic, smash it. I would say maybe a head or two of garlic, smash it, put it in a jar, pour some honey over that. You can warm the honey a little bit, but just a little bit. You don't want to warm it too much because I think if honey gets over, I think it's either 112 degrees or 117 degrees, I can't remember, it loses most of the efficacy. So you don't want to warm it too much, but you just want to warm it so that when you pour it over the garlic and mix it all together, the warm honey with the garlic, you can leave it on your counter. And again, cold and flu season, you take a teaspoonful when your throat is starting to itch you or you're not feeling well. So between the honey and the garlic, gangbusters, like whatever you have gets knocked out, seriously.
They also does with blood pressure, right?
Absolutely. Don't jump ahead of me, Rob. Okay, another thing that it does is an expectorant. So any phlegm, any cough, any of that stuff that you want to get rid of, it helps to bring it up so you can basically get rid of it. So that's good too. It helps to boost the immune system by stimulating the production of white blood cells.
Wow.
So you definitely want garlic in your house. Garlic should always be in your house, basically. I find, I was talking about the garlic confit the other day. I made some garlic confit and I'm like, what am I gonna do with that? I haven't cooked in a while. So I got some garlic confit with my regular garlic, blended all of that up, put it in like a jar with olive oil and keep it in my fridge. So anytime I need to cook with it or I'm making soups or whatever, it's delicious. So I'm getting the best of both worlds, the sweetness and the benefit. So that's something that you can do. Now, to the blood sugar that Rom spoiled, it's really good to lower your blood pressure and your high cholesterol. What I would like to do, or what I think is a good idea, what you would do is take the garlic every day. However, it is beneficial for you to take. Come on in. You would take the garlic every day for about 3 to 6 months for it to be effective. And I would use fresh garlic. Again, if the fresh garlic is too much for you, you can do a garlic confit where you're getting both the fresh garlic as well as the roasted garlic. That way it's not so harsh on your system. If you can't take garlic because it's too harsh and it's too much for you, then what you can do is you can go out and get the pills. But me, for myself, I like fresh. Another thing that is really good, it's, like I said, it's great to lower blood pressure. You want to be mindful if you're on any coagulants, any anticoagulants, because garlic is almost like a blood thinner. So if you're taking garlic for 3 to 6 months and you're on any anticoagulants, that's not going to be a good idea. So it's a contraindication. You don't want to do that. And also nursing mothers should avoid it because it's so strong, it could make babies colicky and fussy from getting it through their mother's milk. It can also, raw garlic, if you're giving it to kids, it could also irritate children's stomach. So if you still want to give them garlic, see garlic confit because it's still going to benefit them, but it's not going to be so harsh for them. Okay. Ginger. Everybody loves ginger. It's the best. Okay, so ginger is a carminative. And again, bloating and gas. It's anti-nausea. It's analgesic. It is a digestive tonic, and it's also a stimulant. So it stimulates your blood and it helps it move and flow, and it keeps you warm because it's warming as well as drying. It relieves nausea, vomiting, motion sickness, but also nausea from chemotherapy. So if you're someone that, or know someone who's going through chemotherapy, ginger tea would be really beneficial for them, or motion sickness. That's why you get those little pills, the Dramamine and all that, for people who are taking cruise lines and things like that. Oh, it helps the immune system. What it does, it promotes the secretion of bile and gastric fluids, which increases your blood circulation, which also helps to relieve, that's how it helps to relieve the gas and the bloating, as well as any food stagnation that's in your stomach. Food poison. You have food poison, you feel like crap, please have ginger on hand because it will help to take care of that and knock that out. A lot of people, I hear people, oh, I got food poisoning and it was just the worst thing in the world and I felt horrible. ginger will definitely take care of that. And fun fact is when you go and you get sushi and you see the ginger and the wasabi, the ginger's there for a reason, because if something is maybe wrong with the fish or maybe something that will get you sick, that's why the ginger's there. So you definitely want to eat it, but you also want to eat the wasabi because that helps with parasites. So the food that you see on your plate, there's a reason for it. There is absolutely a reason for it. So definitely eat it all. Okay. Let's see. If you take after a meal, it could stimulate the digestive juices, like I said, and help to break your food down easily. What it does is it helps to produce bile, and the bile helps, you know, whether or not you're eating meat or whatever it is that you're eating, it helps to break that down. Peppermint and ginger, it balances each other out. So it's going to give you the benefit of the carminative benefit from both of them, but it's also going to be neutral because it's cooling you down and warming you up. So if you're someone who's too hot or someone who's too cold, these are two things that you can take and put a little bit of lemon juice and honey, because I'm a honey woman. I love honey. Honey is the best thing in the world, I think. So you definitely want to do that. A mixture that I have, and I've made many times, I learned this from my dad and my stepmom. Ginger, you peel the ginger, I mean fresh ginger, peel it, blend it with lemon, fresh lemon or lemon juice, however you can get it, and blend it together and make I call it gingerade. Mix it with some honey, keep that in your fridge. If you are sick, if you have food poisoning, if it's just something that it's so cold outside and you need something to quickly warm you up, you can either, with the lemon, it's going to balance itself out. But ultimately, you can take that and it'll knock out whatever it is that you need to knock out. Like, I can't tell you the amount of times that I've had it in my fridge and I don't feel well, and I just take it out and warm it up on the stove, and I promise you it's beneficial. But it is strong. So if you're someone who it's too strong for, you can dilute it. But it is, you can make it into a tea. You can drink it straight like a lemonade, or I call it gingerade. But either way, it's going to benefit you. So that's something that I would absolutely recommend to just keep in your fridge. And between the honey, and because honey is a antibacterial, you can keep it in your fridge for as long as you need to keep it in your fridge, especially if you put enough honey in it, like when you're sweetening it, it'll be a preservative almost. So you can keep it in there for months. I've done it, but don't tell anyone I said that. Last but not least, cayenne pepper. Now I have to put a little disclaimer with cayenne pepper. If you are someone that has a nightshade issue, I would not take cayenne pepper because it's part of what's known as the Solanaceae family. And there's a few things in that family that will inflame you, not just your gut. It will just, it will.
Plug in from the computer.
Okay. Trying to see stuff.
So if you have no problems with nightshades, cayenne pepper is warming and drying. It's warming to the circulatory system, and studies have shown that it's actually an effective heart tonic, and it also does help lower blood cholesterol. It's stimulating, and it's stimulated to the circulatory system. So throughout the body, it assists in your digestive system by releasing the saliva as well as stomach enzymes. So it helps you digest your food better. People who love hot sauce, there's a reason for that. It actually releases endorphins. So all the hot sauce lovers and the people who love peppers, they love it for a reason. It gives them a rush. So this is why basically it just releases the signals to the brain, and it pretty much makes you happy. So that is benefits. It's rich in vitamin A, which is great for your vision, your immune system, your reproductive system, and your growth development, as well as rich in vitamin C. It can support the immune system, and this is why it's so helpful for colds and flus. I would say, as I was saying, the contraindication of cayenne pepper is the nightshades. So being mindful if hot sauces, hot peppers, things like that is not something that you can have. Part of the nightshade family, if you want a list, you can always look it up. But since I'm here, your potatoes, your eggplants, your peppers, all sorts of peppers, whether or not it's sweet peppers or hot peppers. So anything in the pepper family, that's a nightshade. Your tomatoes, tobacco, ashwagandha, goji berries, those are part of your nightshades. So if you find yourself eating goji berries or my favorite gooseberries, and after the next day you find your stomach like not sitting well, it's because you're probably sensitive to the nightshades. Now, a great recipe that I have is for cold and flu season is if you have a bouillon cube or chicken stock, you mix that, you crush about 3 to 5 cloves of garlic in about 10 to 12 ounces of chicken stock or hot water with your bouillon cube, and a pinch of cayenne pepper with the garlic cloves and the bouillon cube, and some thyme, maybe some rosemary, maybe some sage. That right there is your key to knock out anything that thinks that it can come and attack you. And it's such a simple soup that you don't even have to really think about it. Boiling hot water for sure. Crush all of it. Crush your thyme, crush your sage, crush your rosemary, because this is going to release all the essential oils that's in them. And then obviously crush your garlic. You can dice it up, but crushing it is better because you don't get little pieces of garlic in your mouth. Let it sit there and steep in a double wall container. Seriously, that is the best thing. In fact, that could be a meal, depending on how poorly you're feeling. And that right there will, it is, I got that recipe years and years ago when people were going through their, I think it was like tonsillitis was going around, or not tonsillitis. What do you call the throat issue? Strep. Yes, thank you. Strep throat was going around and it was horrible. And someone gave me that recipe, and I promise you, 3 days after being sick for at least 2 or 3 days, it knocked it right out. It was amazing. So I keep that recipe without the cayenne pepper, of course, on hand. So pretty much that is what I have for you. Those are the 9 herbs, and those herbs are so beneficial, but they're herbs that most people have on hand. You have them in your pantry, you use them for cooking in your day-to-day life. But now you know, okay, I can use them in a way that is going to be effective for any colds and flus or any issues that I have. The other thing I will tell you, I cannot stress it enough, learn to trust your body. If you learn to trust your body, it will do such amazing things for you, because now when you go to the doctor, you have information for them. You're not expecting them to know you better than you know yourself. You can tell them, and you can tell them with strength and conviction that, no, I know what I'm talking about. I know what my body is telling me. I know what is good for it. You know, like, even if it's something as simple as, okay, I'm allergic to this medication, I can't take it. You know, some people get white coat syndrome where they see a doctor and it's like, all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, they're God, they know best. You live with yourself for 20, 30, 40, 60 years, they don't know your body better than you. So learning your body, learning to trust yourself, learning to understand what works for it and what does not, that is definitely the first thing I will tell you, because the more you learn your body, the easier it is to trust yourself and the easier it is to carry on and to go, okay, you're getting sick. You don't wait until you're fully sick, because you know when your throat is tickling you, or you know when you're getting a slight headache, and you don't typically get headaches. Maybe that's a sign that you're getting sick. And now you have the things on hand that you can simply do. You don't have to rush out to the store to get, any pills or what have you. You know that you have it at home, and doing your own research. The information I have, promise you, it's solid. But you doing your own research is another thing. I cannot stress it enough, because if you do your own research, you can't come to me and say, well, Allyson, you told me that I should have cayenne pepper and you didn't give me any disclaimers. Okay, but you knew that you shouldn't eat cayenne pepper. So, and I promise you, people will do that. They know that they can't eat it. But if someone tells them to eat it, they will, because maybe they're looking at the person with a halo effect, that they're knowledgeable, they're the expert. Not the expert on your body. You have to be the expert on your body. So understanding these things, understanding how these herbs, anything work for you is pretty much what I would say is the key to living a healthier lifestyle. So that's what I have for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any questions? Yes.
Oh, Poland, what would you recommend?
Oh my goodness. So let me tell you. For colon, there's so many different things that you can use for colon, but what's going on with your colon? You can't just say, oh, for colon, what can I use? Only because what else is going on with your colon? What else are you experiencing that maybe is part of the colon issue? So sitting down and talking to an expert, acupuncturist, a clinical herbalist, someone who you trust, a trusted medical advisor, that's what I would recommend. And if you're going to an herbalist, make certain that you trust that person and what they're telling you. They're knowledgeable and it feels right to you what they're telling you. So for you, I would say sitting down and talking to someone to help them with that. That's my first step that I would do. Any other questions? No?
Questions? Joanna?
Nothing in the chat right now.
Hey, that means I answered everybody's questions.
One that you can burn also.
Yes, absolutely. So there's sage that there's like sage leaf. You can the ones that you cook with, you can definitely burn that, but they have specific sage that is like dried and grown particularly, yeah. And the good thing about sage is that a lot of people say, oh, that's poo-poo, it's scientifically proven that it changes the air and it changes the atmosphere, and that's why it's so beneficial. It changes how you feel. And yes, it's a little bit smoky, but once that clears, it's like the area, the atmosphere does not feel as heavy, and it's palpable, especially if you're someone that's sensitive to that, your atmosphere and it getting heavy and all of that. Yeah, sage is absolutely wonderful for that. Mm-hmm. Any questions? No? Okay. And that ends my talk on herbs that are in your pantry. Thank you guys for coming and spending your Fridays with me.
You have some like refreshments in the there.
I love this thing, Ron. Like, seriously, I love it. And the fact that I said I needed a podium and you were like, oh, let me go to the car and bring out the podium that I
I'll
have.
send you the link.
Thank you so much, everyone, for attending. We appreciate the comments. Great info, no questions, but great info, Allyson. And our next month, we'll have another session, and we invite you to join us again. Thank you very much, everybody.
Okay. Thank you.